joining our bonus session. So we still have a lot of ground to cover. So thank you for joining us for this extra session here on Sunday. In any case, I think I've seen all of you here before. So welcome back, and let's just jump right into it and do in a brief way, just to readjust our motivation, thinking that the purpose of my life is to benefit all sentient beings. And in particular, in order that I may be able to lead all sentient beings from the oceans of samsaric suffering to the state of complete enlightenment, I myself must first achieve the state of complete enlightenment. And therefore, I need to learn about the various methods to purify my mind of all the obstacles, as well as to accumulate all the conducive factors, the great accumulations of merit and transcendental wisdom. And therefore, I'm going to take part in this teaching here today. Okay, so with that, I'll jump back into the text. Oops, no, not this. Okay, hold on a second. Okay. Okay, so where we had gotten to yesterday in the text, we were on, well, just completed the 35th Buddha. So this Tathagata Arhat, perfectly complete Buddha, king of Lord Mountains, firmly seated on Julian Lotus, right? So here there's the special practice instruction we mentioned yesterday, that the benefit of reciting this particular Buddha's name is that it purifies the negativity associated with our guru. Any negativities, for example, degenerating samaya, criticizing the guru, and so forth. So here, especially, Rinpoche says, advises we can recite this 3 times with each set of prostration. Okay, so this next section with the prostrations of the 7 medicine Buddhas. So this is actually not in the original text of the Bodhisattva's Confession of Downfalls. This was later added to the practice, and it is there in, the place I've seen it is the Liberation of the Palm of Your Hand by Pabonka Rinpoche, where he advises adding on the prostrations to the 7 medicine Buddhas at the end of the 35 Buddhas. I think part of it is, as we mentioned yesterday, I believe, that these 7 medicine Buddhas made extensive prayers while they still were turning in the path to especially bring benefit to beings in this degenerate age. So the beings of this Kali Yuga, then those who pray to them, practice in relation to them, will experience quick success. So that is why it is added here. There is the added benefit, I know at least, of it is said that reciting the mantra of the medicine Buddha, here the king of Vaidurya light, right? So Taitam Bekenze Bekenze Ma Bekenze Bekenze Razazamagedesoa. It has the benefit of reciting the mantra of all the Buddhas. It is said that prostrating to the medicine Buddha, one achieves the merit of having prostrated to all the Buddhas as well. So, yeah. but I have not seen in the usual, in these commentaries I'm following on the Bodhisattva's Confession of Downfalls, those don't mention adding the 7 medicine Buddhas, nor does it explain the benefits of reciting the names individually. So I'm just giving you a brief overview of what I know from other sources. Okay. So now we are at the confession prayer. Okay. So here we'll do in English. So it says all you, and then in brackets 35 Buddhas, 7 medicine Buddhas, and others. As many Tathagata are perfectly complete Buddha Bhagavans are abiding, living, and residing in all world systems of the 10 directions. All you Buddha Bhagavans, please pay attention to me. So, although we say this is the prostrations to the 35 Buddhas, well, actually, in the visualization of the merit field, then again, we don't just think of the 35 Buddhas. So, do you have? Oops. Where is it? I think it's at the beginning.
On the image, I do have it.
Yeah, I think it's at the beginning of this page. Okay. Yeah. So normally, right, you all see that? So normally we, visualize the 35 Buddhas. Well, our guru in the aspect of Shakyamuni Buddha, right? At his heart is Chenrezig, if you can see there, okay? And then we visualize radiating out from the heart of our Guru Shakyamuni Buddha. Then we have Vajrasattva here. Okay, can you see my cursor? Right. So Vajrasattva on the here. Okay. Kunrik, Akshobhya, or Miktrukpa in Tibetan, and then Namgyalma. So these 4 deities are also extremely powerful for purification. I think, you might have known Namgyalma as being one of the long life deities, but Rinpoche also advises her practice for purification, and particularly purifying the negative karma of beings who have recently passed away. Anyway, Vajrasattva, hopefully we'll get to next weekend, is the other, very important deity associated with purification. And then, Miktrukpa and Kunrik, maybe less famous, but also extremely powerful. They are extremely powerful for purification as well. And then anyway, we visualize the rest of the 35 Buddhas in these rows like this. So this is one way of doing the visualization. It is said that, there's different traditions. Lama Tsongkhapa, he had the vision of the 35 Buddhas, and in his vision, then, they all had different appearances. So it wasn't like this. But the vision he had, with each of the Buddhas with different colors and different mudras and so forth, it's a lot more complicated for us beginners to visualize. So this this way of visualizing here, then it is found in the traditional texts. It is found in the commentaries that I consulted. It's found also in Liberation of the Palm of Your Hand. So it is a valid method. So, and then this, the 7 or the 8 medicine Buddhas here at the end, right? So normally, as you know, then the 7 medicine Buddhas, you'll hear 7 medicine Buddhas. This one is, the medicine Buddha that we normally do, right? If we just do the medicine Buddha mantra, we recite, his mantra. but there are 7. And then the 8th is Shakyamuni Buddha. So when they talk about the 8 medicine Buddhas, they include Shakyamuni Buddha because it is due to Shakyamuni Buddha's kindness that we beings in this time have access to the medicine Buddhist teachings. So anyway, you'll see both referred to, 7 medicine Buddhas. If there are 8, then Shakyamuni Buddha is added, although technically, not one of the medicine Buddhas actually. Okay, so anyway, but although this is the normal, visualization, you'll see the tankas you'll see. Even here, it's all the Buddhas in the 10 directions. All the Buddhas who are abiding, living, and residing in all world systems of the 10 directions. So, it says in the commentary, just like we do in the King of Prayers, where, we say, on every atom are Buddhas, numberless is atoms, each is a host of Bodhisattvas, and I'm confident the sphere of all phenomena is entirely filled with Buddhas in this way. Then, the commentaries say that we should, do the prostrations as it is mentioned in the King of Prayers. So thinking, that the whole sphere of the universe is entirely filled with Buddhas, countless Buddhas on every atom. And, also we think that we are prostrating not just with one body, but countless bodies on every atom like that. So anyway, so here there is something, where it talks about the Buddhas who are abiding, living, and residing. So here, the commentary just mentions we should be thinking about also, all the Buddhas, and especially there are the Nirmanakaya Buddhas, right? And then there are the Sambhogakaya Buddhas. Okay, so these various types of emanations. And the Nirmanakaya Buddhas appear in worlds like our the one we reside in now. So Shakyamuni Buddha was a Nirmanakaya Buddha, a supreme Nirmanakaya Buddha. But then there's also what they call the Kewa Truku, so the birth Nirmanakayas. So the other Buddhas, okay, as opposed to Shakyamuni Buddha, who's a supreme Nirmanakaya Buddha or supreme emanation, what that means is they appear at a time when the Buddha's teachings are not existing in the world, and they turn the wheel of Dharma new. They actually perform the so-called 12 deeds of the Buddha of a Nirmanakaya. And so, the ones that are depicted at the, monastery walls, descending from the Tushita heaven, the act of renouncing the worldly life, depicted by cutting the hair, practicing austerities, subduing the maras, attaining enlightenment under the Bodhi tree, turning the wheel of Dharma, and so forth. So those 12 activities are what the supreme Nirmanakaya Buddhas do. But then, subsequent to that, of course, there are many Buddhas who appeared in this world. Even now, there are many Buddhas who are here. For example, His Holiness, the Dalai Lama. So His Holiness, although being a Buddha, although being a Nirmanakaya, is not a supreme Nirmanakaya. So it instead is what they call a Kewa Truku, or a birth Nirmanakaya, one can say, birth emanation. So, and why? Why is not His Holiness a supreme Nirmanakaya? Because at the time when he was born, the Buddhas were already existing. The Buddhist teachings were already existing in the world. Okay, so that is one way of doing, one way of knowing. And then the other thing is the one unique feature of the Supreme Nirmanakaya Buddhas is that they say, the Tathagata knows this. So the Buddha Shakyamuni, he referred to himself as the Tathagata, right? So, shows the aspect of being enlightened to the ordinary disciples. Whereas, when you see His Holiness the Dalai Lama teach, then many times he'll take the aspect of not knowing. So this is what is meant by saying, the Buddha is appearing in the ordinary aspect, okay, according to our karma. Okay, so anyway, so all of these Buddha Bhagavans, then we are now saying to them, please listen to me. Okay, so now we're here in the part of the enumerating all of the negative karmas that we are now confessing. Okay, so remember this practice has the complete 4 opponent powers. So first we had the power of the basis or refuge, and then we had, through reciting the Buddha's names, the power of the remedy, and now we're having the power of regret. So here we're going to recall and enumerate all of the negative actions that we've done. Okay. So here it says, in this life and all states of rebirth in which I've circled in samsara from beginningless lives, whatever negative actions I've created, may the others create or rejoice in the creation of. Okay, so here it's very important. So many times, then let's say we engage in some negativity. We lost conscientiousness and say killed a mosquito. We might feel so bad and think, okay, I'd taken the vow not to kill, and here I am, I've killed. Although that is true, and that is something worthy to be sort of regretted and confessed, here then since beginningless samsara rebirth, we've committed so many negativities, and so even all of the negative actions we've done in this life is not even a 1/1,000,000th or 1/1,000,000,000th of a percent of the negativities that we've created. And so when we do the confession, we should think of all of these actions. When we were going through the enumeration of the benefits of the various Buddhas, then I was talking about killing our father, killing our mother, and maybe some of us think, okay, well, I haven't done that in this life, but definitely since the beginning of samsara rebirth, we have engaged in those actions. And as we mentioned a few weeks ago, from the story of Arya Nagarjuna, then even when he unintentionally killed a bug while cutting the grass, still the imprint, the residue of that karmic deed, since it wasn't purified, it then enabled the prince to cut his head off with a blade of grass. So even these small actions, they can leave a lot of karmic residue that needs to be purified. So it might be the case that it might have been many lifetimes, I hope so, since we have engaged in some of these very heavy negative karma. But those negative karmas that are experienced without break, we would have already been reborn in the hells. But as we know, then also these karmic residues then prevent us from gaining realization. So we still have to engage in the purification. Maybe we're not at so much of a risk that we would get reborn in the lower realms. Maybe, but as we know from Lama Tsongkhapa's own life story, when he went to do the retreat and did the 3.5 million prostrations, it was because he wanted to get realization of emptiness. And although he had lived a very ethical life, then still he had all of these negative karmic imprints from previous past lives that he sought to purify. So it's important. Okay, so beingness lives, right? And we know samsara, right, is this cycle of uncontrolled rebirth due to our karma and delusions. So whatever negative actions we have created, right, then made others create means, we can ask them to do one of these negative actions for us, or rejoice in the creation of. This is what we mentioned last week, or sorry, yesterday as well. It's sometimes can be even worse when we, rejoice in other people's negative actions, right? So, whatever possessions of holy objects of offering. Okay, so here, normally the previous translation of this would say stupa, because in the Tibetan text it says che ten, okay, che ten, which is normally how they translate as stupa. But in the commentary, what it's saying is, che is like lama chepa, right? Che being puja, object of offering, and ten is a basis. So in the commentary as well, it says not just the normal stupa that we think about, but any representation of the three jewels of refuge. Okay. So then whatever holy objects of offering, or possessions of holy objects of offering, possession of the Sangha, or possessions of the Sangha of the 10 directions. Okay. So here then, right, the Sangha in general, right, it can mean either two things. There is one explanation of the Sangha being any Arya being, any being who has a direct realization of emptiness, even if they're one, then they are what we call the ultimate Sangha jewel. And then the conventional Sangha jewel is, for fully ordained monks. Okay. So here it says in the text that when it breaks out the Sangha, or the Sangha of the 10 directions, it means, not only the Arya beings, even if it's just, one of them, but also a group of four fully ordained monks. But then it also says that, even when there are groups of fully ordained monks, fewer than four, then it includes also, the possessions that we might have, appropriated from them. So also in the text, the commentary by Drakpa Shidrup, it also mentions, okay, so not just the things that have already come into the possession of the Sangha, but there's also this case, it's mentioned in the Liberation of the Palm of Your Hand, that, if there is someone who is about to make an offering, say, to a monastery, and Pabong Rinpoche talks about it in terms of butter, right? They have a big thing of butter that they're going to give to the monastery so that they can use in the butter tea. And the manager of the monastery says, "Oh no, we have so much butter already. You don't need to give that." Then that is also included in this. That is a very heavy negative karma, actually. So yeah, maybe it's worth talking about here, because can you see this? So I don't mean to advertise, but there's a text that recently came out on the benefits of making Guru Padmasambhava statues. I translated it. But in any case, in that text, it talks about the benefits of building the statues, and then the benefits of making offerings to the statues, and all these kinds of things. So above that, I'll just read through this quickly. It talks about the great benefit of Anyway, I don't want to get into it too much. But it just basically is saying how the fact that we are now born in a country where the Dharma is spread and we can meet representations of the body, speech, and mind of the Tathagatas is due to our accumulation of merit in the past. So all of us, whether high or low in status, ordained or lay, male or female, are very fortunate. We should generate great devotion and respect towards temples and the three types of representations in our vicinity, public or private, placing no importance on who owns them. We should perform prostrations, circumambulations, and make offerings in accordance with our resources. If we diligently offer lamps, ceremonial scarves, the katas, and other substances like flowers and water bowls without miserliness, our merit will flow in an unbroken stream in this and all future lives. All wishes in this life will be accomplished. In future lives, an extraordinary physical body of a human or God will be attained. So then it says, even merely sweeping the dust from inside or outside of a temple has immeasurable benefits. The Vinaya scripture says, by sweeping, one obtains 5 benefits. One mind will become clear, others' minds will become inspired, the deities will be pleased, one will accumulate the roots of virtue needed to be attractive, and even after the body is destroyed, one will be born in the fortunate higher realms of the gods. Okay, so therefore, the caretakers of shrine rooms and temples and those living in their vicinity should, with great effort, give rise to respect and devotion, then sweep the inside and outside of the temples. So many of you know the story in the Lamrim that's mentioned in Lamrim about Lam Chung, one of the Buddha's disciples who had very dull faculties. And when he was trying to learn the scriptures, he was trying to even memorize one stanza. And when he memorized the first line, he would forget the second line. When he memorized the second line, he would forget the first line, and so forth. So the Buddha, had him clean all the shoes, as well as sweep the temple where the monks gathered. And in doing that, he had so much purification that he then was able to attain nirvana in that life. So anyway, if one strives with effort at making prostration, circumambulation, and offering of water and flowers, one will obtain extensive benefits. So here, basically, a bit of advertising and why Lama Zopa Rinpoche is very always emphasizing building holy objects and doing virtuous action in relation to holy objects is because, when we were talking about what makes the karmic actions more powerful, we were talking about the object of offering. So, the field of merit in relation to whom we are doing these practices. So we talked about the field of kindness, the field of qualities, and the field of suffering. So the Buddhas, our gurus, the 3 jewels, they are the field of qualities. And so creating merit in relation to them, then it is extremely beneficial. However, conversely, if you desecrate a temple, it is a fault equivalent in negativity to an action of immediate repercussion. Okay. The Vinaya scripture says, even if you just use the temple's broom to sweep your own house, you will be born like a broom-like hell being. Or if you wipe snot and the like on the walls and pillars of a temple, you will be reborn as a pillar or wall-like hell being. In particular, if you use or partake of the temple's materials and the substance put out as offerings, it is a fault akin to an action of immediate repercussion and a root downfall of the Bodhisattva vows, that of appropriating offerings made to the 3 jewels. As soon as you die, you will be reborn as a hell being drinking molten metal. Afterward, you'll take rebirth as a hungry ghost thousands of times. Okay. So the Vinaya says that even if you change your intention from giving something to the temple in the morning to giving it in the afternoon, or from something designated as a summer offering to one giving in the autumn, or set aside something designated to be given now, allowing several regular offering periods to pass in the interim. Okay, so what that means there is, we do the soak offering on the 10th and the 25th day. Okay, so sometimes, when I read this, I got very nervous because sometimes, I mostly live here in Sera in South India, but very rarely I might go back to the US, and when I go to the US, I'll buy all these nice things, right? Nice offerings, and then I'll keep them in my room, and I'll say, okay, well, I'll give them kind of little by little. So then one has to be very careful. So if we allow these offering periods to pass, then in future lives you'll having been bound to the subtle tendency to abandon undertakings, you'll take rebirth, experience the suffering of the occasional hells. So be very careful. Okay. Anyway, so I didn't mean to scare all of you, but I'm saying that because this is it comes up when we're talking about whatever possessions of the sangha, the 10 directions I've appropriated, made others appropriate, or rejoice in appropriation of. So hopefully none of us are going out and stealing from the sangha. We're not breaking into monasteries and so forth. But these things can happen, especially some of you working at Dharma centers. Then maybe sometimes there can be we get a little bit loose and lax about the way we account for things. If people are making offerings to the center, we have to be very diligent to keep a very straight accounting, so that things that were, for example, designated to the sangha or designated to the visiting teacher doesn't then just get consumed by others. So in light of this, I should just mention this now. Oops. Sorry. Because then this this thought then can then come up, right? We'll get to this in a second, but when it talks about the 5 nearing actions of karmic retribution, right? We have the 5 actions of immediate retribution, the 5 nearing. So yesterday when we were talking about it, I gave the presentation according to the Abhidharma Kosha by the great Indian master Vasubandhu. But his half-brother, Arya Asanga, in one of his texts, the Ngushi, one of the texts on the levels, either the Bodhisattva levels or the Shravaka levels, he says that actually these nearing actions of immediate retribution are not just limited to 5, but there are many of them. And in that he mentions that stepping over the shadow of a holy object or our guru and so forth is a action of a nearing immediate retribution. So those of you who also know, in the 6th session Guru Yoga, if you do that as a daily practice, it talks about this as well. So here there's a mantra: if we have to step over the shadow of a holy object, or stand on a those of you might know in Root Institute, for example, there are those huge statues of Arya Nagarjuna, of Maitreya, and sometimes those need to be cleaned or repainted and so forth. So if you have to stand on them, then there's this mantra, Om Vajra Vega Krama Hum, that you say, and then you imagine that you're lifting the holy object and standing under it. rather than, standing on it. And then the other sort of doubt can come up, because if we have offerings that we offer to the three jewels, we put it on the altar, then, before we just take them down and eat it, right? There is this mantra to avert the pollution of consuming offerings, okay? So when removing an offering that will be consumed from an altar, recite this mantra 7 times and blow on the offering. In this way, you will not receive the pollution of obscurations, obstructions, and will be reborn in the God realm of the 33. Okay? So, yeah. That's what I wanted to say about this little paragraph here, okay? So then, whichever among the 5 heavy negative karmas without break that I've done, caused to be done, or rejoice in the doing of. So this we talked about yesterday. The 5 heavy negative karmas are, killing one's father, killing one's mother, killing an arhat, drawing the blood from a Buddha with malicious intent, and causing a schism in the Sangha. And then whichever of the 10 non-virtuous paths of actions I've engaged in. So here we know, then this is what we talked about before. The 10 non-virtues, there are 3 of body, killing, stealing, and sexual misconduct. 4 of the speech, lying, divisive speech, harsh speech, and idle gossiping. And then 3 of the mind, covetousness, malice, and wrong views. Okay. So then, whatever I have done. So here, this is also important that, we're not limiting the negativities that we're confessing just to the ones that we've done in this life, nor are we limiting to just those, taking the possessions of the Sangha and the 10 non-virtues and these 5 uninterrupted negative karma. So later, when we go through the general confession, then, it also talks about the various types of vows that we might have broken. And then also, disrespecting our parents, disrespecting our teachers, criticizing the Arya Sangha, abandoning the holy Dharma. And, then in the general confession, it says, in short, all the, negative actions that I've done that are causes for me to be reborn in the lower realms and are obstacles to achieving nirvana. So anyway, whatever I have done. Okay, so that is the identification of the negativities that we're confessing. So any negativity from beginning of this time till the present, whether we remember it or not, whether we've done it in this life or not, we confess them all. Okay, why? Because being obscured by these karmas, cause me to be reborn as a hell being, as a sentient being in the hell realm, in the animal realm, or in the preta realm, in an irreligious country, as a barbarian, as a long-life god with imperfect faculties, holding wrong views, or not being pleased with the Buddha's descent. So those of you who have received Lamrim teachings before, you will know this, these 8 as being, the opposite of the 8 freedoms and the 10 endowments. Okay, so we have 8 freedoms and 10 endowments, these characteristics of what we call the precious human rebirth. The precious human rebirth, which is the, very auspicious basis with which we can make utmost progress along the path to enlightenment. Okay, so this is characterized by these 18 features. And so those 18 are then broken into 8 freedoms and then 10 endowments. So of these 8 freedoms in the precious human rebirth, it says, freedom from being born as a sentient being in the hell realm, freedom from being born as a being in the animal realm, and so forth. Okay, so the opposite of that is then, due to our negative karma, then we are born without that freedom. We are born in one of these states that then would make it very difficult for us to practice Dharma. Okay, so here we have first the 4 non-human states: hell, realm, animal realm, preta realm, and then, well, later is the long life God. Okay, so those are the four non-human states. And then, as it says in the commentaries, well, there's two ways of explaining what a long life God is. For our purposes, we can think of these beings who are in what they call the state of neither discrimination or non-discrimination. Okay, duce mebava. Anyway, they only have, at the time when they're born, they have the thought, I've been born. And then right before they die, they have the thought, I'm about to die. But in the middle, it's as if they're in a very deep sleep with no kind of thoughts or discrimination whatsoever. And so, they're not practicing Dharma. It's like they're in a coma, as it were. Okay. So in any case, those are four states, non-human states, where it's very difficult to practice Dharma. Okay. So then the other four are even when one is born as a human, then, well, the last one first, right? Not being pleased with the Buddha's descent means being born in time when the Buddha and the Buddha's teachings don't exist. Okay. Then, even if one is born at a time when the Buddha has appeared, to be born in an irreligious country, okay, so that means where a place where the Buddhist teachings have not spread. So a barbarian then also, well, sometimes they say these are people that reject the Dharma, right? In the past, it was these, the people in the irreligious countries that also tended to be barbarians. They would engage in things like, anything goes, killing, and all these kinds of things. And then holding, with imperfect faculties, means not having, the sense faculties or a, sound mind that is needed to analyze and, understand the teachings. Holding wrong views would be to deny the existence of the three jewels, karma, the law of cause and effect, liberation, enlightenment, these things. So having engaged in those negative karmas then causes us to be reborn in these states. So by reflecting in this way, then that should help garner up some sense of regret that we see the negative consequences of having these negative karmas not purified within our continuum. Okay. All right. So now, in the presence of the Buddha Bhagavans, who are transcendental wisdom, okay? So transcendental wisdom means basically that the Buddhas have the wisdom that directly realizes all the conventional phenomena, like tables, chairs, you, me, and so forth, but also the ultimate nature of all phenomena, the lack of inherent existence of all the conventional phenomena, basically, right? And then, who are eyes, what that means is, just like our eyes can see things directly, then, all of the Buddha's, how do you say, omniscient consciousnesses are, directly perceive all phenomena. So just like our own, flesh eye sees things directly without the need of a kind of conceptual intermediary, then the Buddha also sees all phenomena as if directly, as if with eyes. Witnesses, okay. So what that means is that the Buddha, sees also directly all of our previous positive and negative karma, and knows whether those actions that we've done in the past are positive or negative. So just like, in the witness, right, like in a courtroom, then a witness, will explain, and say what happened. Then the Buddhas also are the perfect witness to all the positive and negative things that we've done in the past, who are valid. So that means then, since they then are able to see everything we've done and be able to differentiate perfectly that this action was positive, this action was negative, and so forth, they are valid with respect to our positive and negative actions. Who see with omniscient consciousness, so they see all phenomena. I admit and confess all these negative actions. So here, then, what it says is, so we have this admission, admitting and confessing. Then there is a presentation about how we do this with our body, speech, and our mind. Okay, so we, admit with our speech when we say all these things, right? We confess. That means, when at this point in the practice, I should have mentioned, but we actually, can kneel down with hands folded and sort of kneel in a posture of sort of seeking confession, right? So we do it with our speech and then our body confessing. And then I do not conceal them nor hide them. So this is a mental thing, right? So mentally, we don't sort of try to, hide or not, cover up these negative actions we've done. Okay. Then, and from now on in the future, I'll abstain and refrain from committing them again. So here we have the opponent power of subsequent restraint. Okay. Yeah. To think I'm not going to engage in these negative actions again in the future. Okay. So that is the limb of confession. Okay. So here, remember yesterday I said that this sutra is also known as the Sutra of the Three Heaps. Yes. Sorry. So the Sutra of the Three Heaps, we have accumulating merit, purifying previously accumulated negativities, and causing the increase of past roots of virtue. Okay. So anyway, we purify the negativities through the 4 opponent powers in particular, and now we have actually gone through the 4 opponent powers already. We've already gone for refuge. We've done the power of the antidote, means prostrating and reciting the Buddha's names. We have done the power of regret when we enumerated the negativities, and then we have the power of subsequent restraint. Okay, so now we are going on to here. Okay, all Buddha Bhagavans, please pay attention to me in this life and all the states of rebirth in which I have circled in samsara from beginningless lives. Whatever roots of virtue I've created by generosity, even as little as giving just one mouthful of food to a being born in the animal realm. Okay, so now what the commentary says is we're now going to enumerate the virtue that we've done in the past. So again, just as we thought about all the negativities that we've done in other states of rebirth from beginningless samsaric, rebirths, now we're also going to reflect on our virtue, okay? And so by doing this, one of the commentaries says, even now we should be rejoicing, okay? Later it's going to come more explicitly that we rejoice, I confess all negativities individually, I rejoice in all merits. But even here, we do a similar kind of enumeration of the virtue, and then we should, rejoice about it, okay? So whatever roots of virtue I've created by generosity, even as little as giving just one mouthful of food to a being born in the animal realm. Okay, so now whatever roots of virtue I've created by guarding morality, whatever roots of virtue I have created by following pure conduct. Okay, so now here, the commentary says that this way that the roots of virtue are enumerated correspond to the so-called six perfections. So we have the six perfections, generosity, ethical discipline, patience, enthusiastic perseverance, meditation, and wisdom. Okay. So the first two is clear: generosity, guarding morality, ethical discipline. Okay. So now, following pure conduct, how is this then a description of the practice of patience? Okay. So here, what it says in the text is, those things that would prevent us from acting in a pure way. Well, one of the main things is through our anger, then we can, then engage in killing and stealing and so forth. So by practicing patience, and we then have the antidote to our anger, and then that helps us actually, follow pure conduct and keep our morality well. So, I think many of you know, then, when you're overcome with very strong anger, then it becomes very difficult to restrain one's behavior. So here, the practice of patience is one of the main things that helps us to guard our morality, and therefore it is following pure conduct. Then whatever roots of virtue I've created by fully ripening sentient beings, this is likened to the practice of enthusiastic perseverance. So as some of you know, we have the practice of enthusiastic perseverance means to be joyful and have a liking toward practicing virtue. And so just as there is this presentation of the six perfections, there's also the so-called 4 ways of ripening disciples. And in that, we have attracting potential disciples into our retinue through acts of generosity. Then we have speaking kind words, and then giving advice according to their needs and disposition. And then last is to act and practice in accordance with our advice. Okay, so here, by being very diligent in our own practice and following the teachings well, we're acting in accord with our own advice, and then we become a very good example for those who are trying to lead to enlightenment. And therefore, that's how we fully ripen sentient beings. So that's why this one is likened or associated with the perfection of joyous perseverance. Then whatever roots of virtue I've created by generating bodhicitta. Okay. Sorry. So here, many of you know from the Bodhisattva Charyavatara. Then the Bodhisattva Charyavatara also talks about the 6 perfections. And in the meditation chapter, that's actually where you see the very extensive instructions on equalizing and exchanging self for others, which is the main way that Shantideva explains on how to generate bodhicitta. So here, the cultivation of bodhicitta is included in the perfection of meditation. And for aspiring bodhisattvas and Mahayana practitioners, the main thing we sort of have to meditate on is actually bodhicitta. We have to meditate on this again and again until we have the uncontrived realization of bodhicitta, and then even after that, to increase further our great compassion and bodhicitta is going to be, one of the main factors that determine how quickly a Mahayana practitioner achieves enlightenment. So, generating bodhicitta is included in the perfection of meditation or concentration. And then whatever roots of virtue I have created by my unsurpassed transcendental wisdom. So then this doubt comes up. So what is the unsurpassed transcendental wisdom? And then, okay, from beginning, maybe this is a better question. From beginning its lifetimes till the present, right? Have we created any roots of virtue by unsurpassed transcendental wisdom? Isn't the unsurpassed transcendental wisdom the Dharmakaya, the omniscient mind of the Buddha? What do you think? Shanti?
Maybe it could be also direct perception of emptiness.
Okay, do we have that one?
No, but it's included because Arya Bodhisattvas may also be doing this practice, right?
Okay, so as we mentioned, the first 35 bodhisattvas to whom this practice was given were actually bodhisattvas who were not Aryas. They were still on the path of accumulation. So they didn't have direct wisdom realizing emptiness, okay? But in any case, anyway, it's a little bit of a doubt. So yeah, it is true, okay? But yeah, we're running out of time, so I don't want to get into too many debates. The unsurpassed transcendental wisdom is the omniscient mind of the Buddha. We don't have that. So we also don't have any roots of virtue that we've created through my unsurpassed transcendental wisdom. Okay, but there's this phrase in Tibetan, Jesu Tumpa. It's like in like concordant with. Okay, so although we don't have unsurpassed transcendental wisdom, then when we do, listen to teachings on emptiness, when we try to reflect on emptiness, and so forth, then that is creating roots of virtue that is concordant with unsurpassed transcendental wisdom, because it is, acting as the cause for the attainment of unsurpassed transcendental wisdom. So we do, I hope, have at least some roots of virtue that we've created by, trying to generate this, wisdom realizing emptiness within our continuum. So that's how you get out of that potential debate. Okay. All right. So now we've now kind of enumerated all these various virtues that we've accumulated since the beginning of this time. We hopefully have rejoiced in that. And now what do we do? So all of these assembled and gathered, then combined together. All right. So here, is this being redundant? So no. Assembled, it says in the commentary, means when we think of our own virtue that we've done. Okay. Gathered then is these virtuous actions in those categories that others have done. Okay. Then combined together means the virtue of ourselves and the virtue of others. Okay. So all that virtue I fully dedicate to the unsurpassed, the unexcelled. Okay. So we now dedicate that. So many of you who are students of Lama Zopa Rinpoche, you'll know when he does the dedication, he often says, do all the past, present, future merits collected by me, as well as the numberless merits accumulated by the numberless sentient beings and numberless Buddhas. Okay, so this was a quite uncommon thing. Okay, I have a few teachers, and I didn't, hear other teachers really doing this. And so I was like, oh, this is very interesting. And then I kind of had a doubt, like, okay, is there a kind of scriptural basis for this? Okay. And the answer is yes. And here's one. Okay. In the commentaries, it talks about this. We dedicate our own merits and then the merits of others, combining them together, and then, dedicating. Okay. Then also in one of um, the sutras, I forget the name right now. Anyway, in one of the sutras, there's this analogy that when it talks about the reason why we dedicate, it's that if we put a drop into the ocean, then as long as the ocean doesn't run out, then our drop doesn't run out. So in the context of that, there is this talk of combining our relatively small merits with all the merits of all other beings. So anyway, that analogy is also from Sutra, and it talks about this practice and the sort of validity of dedicating our own and others' merit. Okay. All right. So then all that merit assembled and gathered and combined together, I fully dedicate to the unsurpassed, the unexcelled. Okay. And here again, it's not being redundant. The unsurpassed talks about the wisdom truth body, right? The Dharmakaya of the Buddha. And then the unexcelled talks about the Rupakaya. Hold on, I might have that mixed up. It's one or the other. Okay, so we have the form body of the Buddha, right? And then the truth body of the Buddha, the Dharmakaya and the Rupakaya. So, just hold on. Okay. And of course, I'm having difficulty finding it right this second. Okay. Okay. Sorry, I was a little bit off. Okay. Um, okay. So there's actually two ways that this is presented. So one, yeah, is just like I said, the unsurpassed is the form body, the Rupakaya, and the unexcelled is the Dharmakaya. So yeah, but there's also a presentation that there's also a presentation that these refer to the Sambhogakaya and the Nirmanakaya. Okay, and then there's a little doubt that kind of comes up because Well, as it says in the Precious Garland by Nagarjuna, that the accumulation of merit is the cause of the form body of the Buddha. The accumulation of transcendental wisdom is the cause of the Dharmakaya of the Buddha. Okay, so if there's this other system that only talks about the Sambhogakaya and the Nirmanakaya, then we had already, rejoiced in the merit that we've collected through our unsurpassed transcendental wisdom, right? So that is going to become, the cause for the Dharmakaya. So it seems that the first explanation is probably better. Okay, do you understand? Maybe some of you do. Okay. So okay. So then, but then if you do say like that, then they say, okay, we can say that the unsurpassed is the Rupakaya, the unexcelled is the Dharmakaya. Okay, then the higher than the high, then they liken that to the Sambhogakaya. Okay, because the Sambhogakaya, it in the sutra system, it abides only in this Oakman Pure Land. The Oakman Pure Land, there are only Sambhogakaya and other bodhisattvas. Okay, so the other Arya bodhisattvas that abide in Oakman are high, and the Sambhogakaya then is higher than the high. Okay, and then the Nirmanakaya. Okay, so we have superior. So in general, we also talk about superiors as being Arya beings, right? Any Arya being is superior to an ordinary being. Okay, so here the Nirmanakaya, for example, like Shakyamuni Buddha, okay, he had in his retinue other superior beings like Shariputra, Ananda, and so forth. So those were superior, but Shakyamuni Buddha was superior to the superior. Okay. So anyway, thus I completely dedicate to the highest, perfectly complete enlightenment. So anyway, there are these ways that the four bodies of the Buddha are discussed. So anyway, in this commentary, it talks about dividing it into that. Okay, so unsurpassed, the Rupakaya, unexcelled, the Dharmakaya, higher than the high, Sambhogakaya, and superior to the superior, Nirmanakaya. All right. So now, just as the past Buddha Bhagavans have fully dedicated, just as the future Buddha Bhagavans will fully dedicate, and just like the presently embodying Buddha Bhagavans are fully dedicating, like that too, I dedicate fully. Okay. So then, this is actually quite similar. The dedication prayer that we do many times, actually from the King of Prayers, that just like the hero Manjushri and Samatha Bhadra too, realize things as they are. I too dedicate all these roots of virtue for the attainments of the Bodhisattva practice. With that dedication, those praise is the best by all the victorious ones who have gone to bliss 3 times. I too dedicate all these roots of virtue in order to have good conduct. Anyway, okay, so these 2 stanzas you'll see are done a lot, and there are 2 stanzas from the King of Prayers, which I think many of you are familiar with. The King of Prayers itself is the sort of encapsulation of 100,000 different of the Bodhisattva practices, or Bodhisattva aspirations. And then those 2 stanzas are the kind of summary of that, which is sort of just like this, where, it's a kind of a blank check, if you will. So all the various dedications that the Buddhists have made in the past, I too dedicate like that, right? So we don't have to be, creative, right? I sometimes joke, it's like when we go to a restaurant, instead of looking at the menu, we see something we like on another table, and we just say to the waitress, "Oh, I'll have what he's having," right? You do that? So kind of like that. So just as all the past Buddha Bhagavans have fully dedicated, are dedicating and willfully dedicate, I dedicate fully. Okay, but in general, the 3 main sort of dedications that are done are for the flourishing of the Dharma, to be cared for and guided by perfectly qualified mind and virtuous friends in all our lives, and then to quickly achieve enlightenment. So those are the 3 that we always need to sort of keep in mind, and those are the 3 that you'll see over and over again. The addition of the 4th that you also see a lot about the generation of bodhicitta. Well, that's because the attainment of full enlightenment, its sort of main cause is this mind of bodhicitta. So usually you'll see those 4 most commonly. One of my own gurus, Chidam Rinpoche, in one commentary he said that actually when we do any one of those 3, then actually the others are included, because if we pray and dedicate for the flourishing of the holy Dharma, how's the Dharma going to flourish? Well, it's going to require that there are qualified teachers that then are, teaching and, guiding the disciples. And if that happens, if the Dharma flourishes and there are teachers around, then yes, all sentient beings will quickly become enlightened. So those 3 are sort of, dependent arising. And then, even if we only dedicate for, the long lives of the spiritual friends and always to be guided by them, then, similarly, what are the spiritual friends doing but teaching the Dharma? So if the gurus have long lives, if their activities increase, then, of course, the Dharma will also increase. Okay? So here, I confess all negative actions individually. Okay? So here, it is said that this Sutra of the 3 heaps is, has the 7 limb prayer, which many of you know. So we have the limb of prostration. Then it is said that the limb of offering is sort of implied. And, as we are doing the prostration, we can also, visualize that we're making countless offerings to all these Buddhas that we're visualizing as well. Then we have the limb of confession. So here again, confessing all negative actions individually. Then rejoice in all merits. Okay. So again, we should be doing that when we enumerate the virtues, but we can also, do it again here. And then here, urge and request. So actually the urging is the urging that the Buddhas teach, okay? Requesting that they turn the wheel of Dharma. And then this request is, to request them not to pass away into parinirvana. I'll just say something. In a previous translation of this, they had, I urge and request all Buddhas, may I achieve the supreme, holy, and peerless transcendental wisdom. So that, when I saw that, I thought that was mistaken, because then it seems like we're urging and requesting the Buddhas, may I receive the supreme, holy, and transcendental wisdom. That's not the case. We're urging that the Buddhas teach. We request they not pass away into parinirvana. These are the other steps in the seven limb practice. And then this, the last limb of dedication is there. May I achieve the supreme, holy, and peerless transcendental wisdom. Okay? So that is the seven limbs. Then we have this last part. So here again, although we have already taken refuge at the beginning, then this is a kind of summary, and it also gets included in the fourth abundant power of the basis. So to the conquerors, the best of humans, who are living in the present time, who live in the past, and those who will likewise come, to all those who have qualities as vast and infinite ocean, with hands folded, I approach for refuge. Okay. So that is the Tung Shak, or the Bodhisattva's Confession of Downfalls. And we have about 13 more minutes. So I don't know, you have questions? We can open up for questions. Or, yeah. What do you think? Okay. Aloha.
Thank you, Venerable. Thank you for your teachings, and also I hope you're feeling better today.
Yes, I am. Thank you. I have a bit of residual cough, but yeah, anyway, I'm better.
That's good. I have a question which is triggered by what you just taught. One of the challenges that I face is that I have to travel for work, and also sometimes relocate for work, which means I am carrying in my purse an ebook reader which has Dharma books. My carry-on, the cabin luggage generally will have Dharma books, or sometimes even a small altar. And since I travel alone, I sometimes have to visit the airport loose and, actually carry my purse and my luggage inside. And I like, it racks me with guilt. I mean, is there something I can do to do it more respectfully? Yeah.
Yes, there is. So yeah, it's good that you're thinking about this. And after I read these things, I'm like, oh my gosh, what to do? But just as we saw from that mantra, where those situations where we have to stand on a statue, we visualize, right, that we're not actually standing on it. We lift it up and we think that we're standing under it, we recite the mantra. So I thought we could do the same thing when we go to the loo, right? We can consider, like we have the bag behind us, and we can think, okay, my bag is not coming in the loo with me, right? My bag is sort of outside, okay? And only I'm coming in, I'm going to do my business like this, right? So we can kind of think like that. And also to maybe think that, our bag is sort of in a very pure bubble, that the kind of contamination that we might see in public toilets, is not then, penetrating, right? So we can use our visualization, we can use our imagination. But even just having this thought that you're having here, this kind of, oh, I respect these things, I don't mean any disrespect, that's a very good mind to have. And I was mentioning, in general, sometimes we are forced to do things that are less than ideal. And then just by having this kind of mindfulness there, that, I don't want to do this, but I have no other choice, then that, that means that the motivation isn't sort of there.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. And then I think you probably do this, but there are those cloths that we can wrap our Dharma books in. They're very sort of popular. So we wrap our Dharma books in these cloths. And then, sometimes, we have one bag and we have, our Dharma books, we have, maybe our phone, we have other things that we're carrying. And sometimes we have to do like that. But as long as we keep them separate, we put them in a place, it's like, okay, this is our designated place of respect. And we think that, okay, it's kind of protecting from the other things, then that's also good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Venerable, I had a question.
Okay.
That there you say you dedicate to the enlightenment, right? So is it your own enlightenment or to everyone else's? And everyone, every sentient means enlightenment, and you also gather other people's virtue along to your own enlightenment. So how does that work logically?
Okay. Well, I'm not. Let me look at the actual words in the Tibetan text. But in the normal 7-limb prayer that we do, where it says, I dedicate the virtues to the great enlightenment. Okay, the great enlightenment. It doesn't mean for all sentient beings. Okay, but I don't think there's a that big a contradiction here, because the point of us to be enlightened, just us, then we sort of spontaneously manifest in whatever form and work effortlessly, spontaneously for the benefit of all sentient beings, right? When they talk about the benefits of the virtue accumulated with the motivation of bodhicitta, it says that it will never run out until all sentient beings are enlightened, right? So even if we say, okay, just me, just till I'm enlightened, well, then once we're enlightened, we're going to work, spontaneously until samsara is empty anyway. So, in that case, it doesn't really matter. So yeah, then the question, well, I'm not sure this was your question, but it's a question that maybe should come up. We were saying that, we don't experience the things, the fruition of things that we ourselves haven't done. So now there's other beings that have engaged in merit. So how can we dedicate their merit? Okay. So here, in my kind of estimation, well, sometimes these aspirations, they're not, so literal, right? So technically speaking, yeah, the merit you do, I can't dedicate for you. The merit that you do, I can't experience the ripening effect of. But well, one thing is, if we rejoice about it, right, then there is new roots of virtue we were saying the three heaps: accumulate merit, purify, and increase previously accumulated roots of virtue. So the rejoicing is to increase those previous roots of virtue. You understand? So here, although it's true that those other merits that are done, we're not really dedicating, but in general, this project that all sentient beings be completely enlightened, okay, if I dedicate for that, and there's others dedicating for that, then that whole store of merit is going towards this aim, right? And those other beings, they're dedicating for enlightenment. I dedicate along with them. It's kind of like the auspiciousness when we visualize all sentient beings in the space around us and we do the practice, right? All sentient beings aren't doing the practice with us, but we have this thought, I'm doing it with all sentient beings, right? Similarly, we dedicate with all the sentient beings, right? So we're constantly thinking of all the sentient beings. And so all the sentient beings who are thinking like we're thinking, we're kind of engaged in a similar sort of project. It's like working for a really big company, right? We've never met each other, right? But we're all kind of working for the same goal, right? And what that can do then is, someone in another world system that's dedicating, for all sentient beings to be enlightened. I'm also doing that. Well, maybe I'll become their disciple later, just as when, the 50 people coming together to do practice, they're doing, virtue together. They then are creating, kind of group collective karma to meet again in the future and do more virtue in the future. Then, like, for example, all of Lama Zopa Rinpoche's students, all of His Holiness Dalai Lama's students, who are then dedicating for his enlightenment, we're creating collective karma to, be disciples of His Holiness again in the future. So I think it's like that. Does that answer your question?
Yes, Venerable. Thank you.
So, Venerable, can I ask one question in addition to this then?
Yeah.
So, if you're saying that, like, we dedicating up, for our gurus, like His Holiness, to become quickly, we create a karmic connection with him, so that in future we become his disciples, right? That's what you said earlier, just now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So now I want to go on the reverse side. So do you mean to say that what we're experiencing now with coronavirus, that's a global karma? How did that happen? I mean, isn't that a collective karma?
Yeah. So that it can happen in both ways. It can happen in both ways.
How did that work out?
Well, of course, the specific subtle workings, I don't know, right? But you can imagine there's stories like this, right? I think I told this story where, there was a wedding reception, right? And, 50 people in the house gets burned down, 49 people die, and one person is able to escape through a kind of, storm drain or something, right? And the Buddha asked, so the Buddha was asked how that happened. And what the Buddha explained was, so many lifetimes ago, there is this family that were having a wedding reception. And for the wedding reception, they killed a cow to eat for the reception. So the bride objected and said, no, I don't want a cow killed. We shouldn't take, the life of any being. Okay. but she was only one, and the other 49 in the family won out. So due to that, then those 49 got burned, and the one was able to escape. Okay, so we see this a lot, in an army, or a country. A country could go to war with another country, and that country, let's say there's a billion people in the country, and they go to war. They all support going to war. They defeat the country. So those billion people then they rejoice. Oh yeah, we killed the other army. We took over their land, right? So they all then share in that negative karma of killing. Okay, and then these events that then take the life of so many. That's kind of how it happens, right? So the specifics I don't know, but in general, that's how sort of collective karma can work, and we see this today. There's a lot of times when you can imagine there might be companies that are